Hello, hello, hello. Hello, how are you? Happy Monday, happy whatever day it is that you are watching this. Now, I don't wait for people to come on my live because I did not announce my live. I don't do it regularly. I do random lives. I'm terrible, I know, but it's really hard for me. It's not really hard for me, but I don't like. I like spontaneity. I don't like planning too much. It's been a challenge career-wise, but I can't help it, right? Today, I wanted to share some love and share some good news and share some useful information on creating or starting or improving an outreach project. So I'll pull this thing closer. It's been a rough past few months, I think, for all creatives, but also for people everywhere in the world, everywhere in Trinidad and Tobago. We tend to tell ourselves, "Oh, we're fine, we're doing okay." That's our number one response to people asking us how you're going, how you are. I'm not fine. I don't know about you, but I am not fine. I am not fine. And you know how I know I'm not fine? Because I'm struggling. I'm struggling to think clearly. I find myself scrolling on Facebook. You know what I did yesterday? Yesterday, I saw a lady, poor thing, she was probably very well meaning, but I don't even know, who posted, that thing about the unfortunate killing of the man and his daughter, who's only two. And, Gary Griffith and quite a few other people have said, why, why all you don't go and protest that? Why all you don't go and protest the death of a 2-year-old? Yeah, go and protest who exactly about what? If you could stop just this knee jerk, stupid reaction to things because, yes, things are changing. Yes, black people are claiming their space. Yes, your assumptions, racisms, misconceptions, even within our community about black people are wrong. You are wrong. Racism is wrong. Stop it. Okay, stop it. And the reasons behind that young girl's death and her father's death have to do with racism. They have to do with systemic classism. They have to do with the way that police see young black low income men as threats, as problems. We have all these men locked up for nothing. They get locked up, they get held, they're over policed. Okay, and then I'm talking about Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, talking about Trinidad and Tobago. We also have a very serious problem of corruption in our police service, and anybody who denies that is really, really having a problem because even the commissioner of police admits that that is a serious problem, and it's something that he seems to be addressing on some level. But it's there and it's acknowledged. So, Black Lives Matter movement, it does matter in Trinidad and Tobago because that's the kind of thinking that we need. We need to free ourselves. We need to move on from these monsters like Columbus and King Leopold and all these people who have statues and are being honored. That is powerful to put up a statue of a person. And people say, oh, well, I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for Columbus. You might be in a better place. You might be in your place, in your power, in your country where you come from. Okay, I love being a Trinbagonian. I feel, I post about this all the time. I feel really blessed to be born in Trinidad and Tobago and to be born a black woman in Trinidad and Tobago. Because even though it's hard to be a black woman anywhere, it might be a less hard here, because we don't have to deal with the kind of extreme and overt racism that Black people in other parts of the world have to deal with, including in our own continent of South Africa, our own continent of Africa, where you have countries like South Africa, where for long, long, long periods of time, Africans were marginalized in their own country by these thieves and rapists and murderers. Talking about civilization, it had civilization before they got there. Okay, they are the ones who destroyed civilization, and that's why our planet is being destroyed so that these small percentage of people could consume everything. So please, please educate yourself. It is not my job to educate you. It is not any one of us Black Lives Matter activists or local activists or creatives to educate you. You have to educate yourself, okay? So this is one of the reasons why I have done outreach work for the past 20, 25 years. Yeah, I do outreach work and I've done it for a really, really long time because I think it's important and I've seen it make a difference. And I've done it long enough that I've actually had people who I've done outreach work with come to me afterwards and be able to say, this changed my life and it sent me in this direction on this trajectory, and that really changed my life for the better. It saved my life. I've done outreach projects in my own community in Carenage, in Gonzales. I actually worked with outreach and training and outreach and education with a company called Living Stage Theater in DC in 2000 and 2001. So yes, I'm doing this and I'm prepping for this and I'm doing this long time. So I do know what I'm talking about. If you want to start an outreach project, a lot of people do, they want to help their community. They want to help children in particular, sometimes disenfranchised communities. I've done a lot of work with men who have like criminal backgrounds, women who have criminal backgrounds, victims of domestic violence, inmates at the maximum security prison. Currently doing a program through a wonderful company called the Opening Lotus at the YTRC. So a lovely lady called Amanda invited me to participate in that program, and it's wonderful. I'm enjoying it very much. It's called the Peace Ambassadors Program, and it's a UNDP program. It's great. And I'm actually doing this live today because we were supposed to have class today at 10 and at 1 every day this week, but they just moved. They're doing some training, so they moved it to next week. So we can't do it this week. So that's how it goes. But getting back to those of you who want to start your own outreach projects, let me tell you, it's not easy. It's really, really challenging, and Trinidad and Tobago presents its own specific set of challenges and problems. Okay, so let me first start off with how to start. All right, so of course, the best place to start before you go to help anybody else is to hi Afi. I have to talk to you. I sent you an email. I'll call you. The first thing that you have to do is start with yourself. Okay, you have to start with yourself, and the reason that you have to start with yourself is because whatever outreach work you do, you're going to be entering into a relationship with people, probably an organization or maybe even a family unit or individuals, in case you're mentoring and so. So you have to make sure that you have the internal motivation to deal with the discomforts and the challenges that are going to come with doing outreach work. Okay, and that is tough because when you do outreach work, people are not always going to be grateful. They are not going to be receptive. They may not behave in the way that you would like. They may not react in a way that you would prefer. I've seen a lot of people doing outreach work who believe that what they're doing is a favor, is a gift. The children should be more grateful. The caregivers not being participating, So you really have to be intrinsically and strongly motivated to do outreach work. And creative outreach is, people understand when you bring them food, they understand when you build a house, they understand when you give them groceries, or you give them furniture items, or you dig a box drain, or you build a community park. All of those things are things that are easily understood, and there's a lot of funding opportunities for projects like that. Creative projects are a little bit harder to get funded and to start, because people don't understand or appreciate ephemeral or qualitative benefits. Okay, so we like to do quantitative things, and we like to send out 5,000 people was helped, 7,000 children participate, 6,000 people do this, right? And the company, whoever, or the government, whoever pays for it, feel like, yes, we touched the lives of 6,000 children. But what is the qualitative value of that intervention and of that interaction, and how far will it go? And this is the advantage, in my opinion, of creative interventions or creative outreach. It goes much deeper. All right, creative outreach goes much deeper. It can change a person fundamentally, all right, to do creative outreach. And if you want to talk more about creative projects, that you might want to start, or creative outreach that you want to do, give me a call. I have a little session for that, a very small fee, and we could work that out, because I really want to see more outreach work going on and to see more outreach work succeed. So after you pass the point of figuring out your intrinsic motivation, and you realize that this is something that you are genuinely passionate about and that you really want to get going, that's when you have to start figuring out, what is it now that you're going to do with this intrinsic motivation and this need to help others? How do I decide who to help? It feels like there's so many different people in need out there. So again, this is where the intrinsic motivation comes from. Organically, what are you drawn to? Who do you want to help? Imagine these are the people who you have to interact with them, you have to spend time with them. So make sure that the people you are targeting, or the group that you are targeting, is people that you are comfortable with, or that you can be comfortable with, because you are going to have to spend time with them. So for example, don't go after some sort of a medical outreach when you're squeamish and you can't take things looking different, or people looking different, or things like that. Try your best to do something that really, really calls to you in an organic sense. And then you need to do some research. Find the groups, find the organizations, find the families, find the individuals who are already doing the work. Okay, you didn't just come up with this idea and no one else has ever thought of it. Okay, that's like one of the most problematic things in creative outreach and in outreach work. Everyone thinks that they thought of it alone, and that they're working in a vacuum and they're working in their own bubble, and nobody else is doing this, only me. And when you find out somebody else is doing it, you're like, oh, they stole it from me. No, it's an idea. Every lots of people will have the same idea. The most important thing is how you execute it. Okay, and the first part of executing any kind of program or implementing any kind of program is to listen and do research. Find out more about the organization you're trying to help. I've seen so many people, and I've done it myself early in my career. Um, you know, this is a great program that I've come up with. This is a wonderful intervention. This could change lives. I'm going to go into this home, or I'm going to go into this thing, and I'm going to do it. Listen, the caregivers in Trinidad and Tobago are fatigued by your bullshit. They are fatigued, okay? Because you don't know what they need. So you have to know what they need. You have to find out What is the time that is doable for this? How is it going to work best? What are the actual needs of the organization? And you need to constantly, even when you've determined all this, when you've done all your research, when you've gotten all your resources on board, you have to constantly set up systems, informal or formal, to check yourself. You understand what I mean? You have to keep checking and making sure that what you are doing is actually benefiting the people you are trying to reach, and it's not just benefiting your ego. You know, in Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, we have a lot of flamsters, okay, because outreach work is a really good way to earn money. No, it is. It is. And, you know, a lot of people feel that people who do outreach work shouldn't be paid, and that is nonsense, right? What they're doing is saving lives, literally. Okay, that's like saying, well, doctors should work for free. Nobody thinks doctors should work for free. Nobody thinks lawyers should work for free. Why should creatives who are positively changing lives, actively reducing future crime, okay, actively, right, creating happy, comfortable, self motivated, uh, good social, interactive people. Um, why should we work for free? That is nonsense. And you know, a lot of funding agencies seem to almost cut you off. You know, they want to give you funding, but it's so limited, and there's so much reporting, um, that it can feel really challenging. Now, reporting is important, accountability is important, but what is the project actually doing? I've seen where, in order to receive funding, I've seen projects have to change and reduce and almost destroy the core values of the project so that they can get this funding. You know, so it's almost like sometimes the funding agencies can destroy the project, or cut the heart out of the project, because these agencies, they don't value a lot of these qualitative things, and it's tough for them. It's tough for them because they have to justify the money they're given. You know, it's like that same issue that came up a few months ago, well, in the past few months, with people giving out hampers for coronavirus relief, right? So people are saying, don't show video or pictures of people receiving the hampers. Yet, if I'm a donor and I've given you money to buy hampers, how do I know that you actually bought hampers with it? Okay, so it's a real, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation, for everyone, for funders and for people receiving the funding. All right, let me get back on track here. See, this is why I do lives, so I could digress. When I do my produce videos, I tend to stay more on target because you know I can go off camera and slap myself back to sense, because I am a digression boss. That does wonder like a tree. I'm wondering. Okay, so if you want to start an outreach project, you have a few criteria you have to have. You can have time and no money, or you can have money and no time. The ideal situation for outreach work is that you have time and you have money. The most non ideal situation is that you have no money and no time. You can still do outreach projects under these circumstances. Okay, I know it sounds rough, but you can. All right, so if you have time and you have money, then you know you could really make a difference. But I would really advise you to be guided by established outreach practitioners. You know, you don't have to go to a big United Way. That might seem very big and stuff, but they have individuals there you can talk to. You know, you really have to do good research and think and try to connect with a community or a group or a family that needs what you have to offer. All right. There's a lot of times when people perceive that people need something and they may not need it. They may not need it. Sometimes we look at other people's life and we imagine that this person is living in poverty, this person needs help, and that person may be fine. So you have to be so careful because everybody has different values. I'll give you an example of some of the differences between upper class and low income values. For example, a low income person may not have time or money, but they will barter some of their time for money, but they may not barter all of their time for some money. So people say, oh, if you want, you could work overtime, you could work 6 days a week. Why you never want to work and stuff? Because people value their time. So yes, I might work at 10 days, and having worked at 10 days, I now have a little money, so I have now a little time, a little leisure, right? To do other things, to think, to relax. All right. So don't begrudge people their values or their approach to life. And please, please, please check. Don't just assume that this is a poor person and I have to reach out and help them and I'll give them this and I'll give them that. Ask, do research, inquire. Don't make assumptions about what people, and especially don't make assumptions about what organizations need. You'd be really, really surprised at some of the wonderful things that are already happening at the homes for children, homes for the aged, orphanages, places where battered women are sheltered and stuff like that. There are a lot of great organizations in Trinidad and Tobago doing work, and so many of these places have wonderful programs going on. I mean, to the extent where you might not even be able to fit in. you know, you mightn't be able to fit in to do what you had intended to do or what you wanted to do in that organization. But if you really want to help, if you don't just want to be glorified for your brilliance and your genius, if you really want to help, then you can help by asking simply of the people who run the organization, I do this. Is there any way that I can help you guys? Do you all need anything that I can provide? Don't run up in there and say, oh, we'll have some clothes there and some books there. We'll carry it down by the home. They don't want no books. They don't want no more books. They have nowhere to store it. They don't want no more clothes. I'm trying to have too much clothes already. All right, ask a question, find out what is needed, begin a relationship. All right, and that's a key thing. Begin a relationship, listen, Google, do research, call the organization, literally call them. Fine, don't just call them and say, hey, I want to do this, I could come Saturday. No, call, find out what's going on, visit, observe, right? Make informed decisions about whatever project or programming you want to offer and how you want to interact. Okay? Outreach is complex. Now, it's really complex because it's so subjective. Anybody that you want to help, they have their own story. The organization has its story. Each caregiver have their own story. Each recipient of care, whether they are displaced children, displaced women, a school that might need some support, different things. Each person, each individual, each project, each institution are full of individuals with their own story. So try to learn that story. Wayne, you can load that down for me? Life with other people. This is how it goes, right? So everybody has their own story. And it's important to learn the story before you can help them. And I'm not talking about minding people's business and finding out the specifics of the case and what their father do them and what their mother do them and this and that. It's not about minding people's business. It's about listening and finding out what people actually need and not just focusing on your preconceived notions and assumption about what these people need. Don't be one of those persons talking about these people need to do this and these people need to do that, okay? Find out, investigate, be part of the solution, okay? All these Facebook chair professionals, in my opinion, your life is a mess. Fix yourself first and then come out here and try to tell people what's going on, okay? Now, one of the things that you really have to understand about outreach work is that a lot of the people who are employed at outreach institutions and organizations, they are not generally very well paid in my experience. Perhaps one of you can correct me. I always look forward to correction and update because I know I don't know everything, far from it. But it's really important to listen to the caregivers and listen to the people in charge because a lot of them, they are struggling. It's really hard to keep a home or anything like any kind of charitable or outreach organization going because you're always starting over. You might get a great funding opportunity for a year or 2 years or 3 years, but you're always starting over. And any organization that receives government funding will tell you that it is very difficult at times to collect your funding. Sometimes it takes a really, really long time, sometimes years, for funding to come through the government. All right, so that's a whole process. So you need to be very aware that these organizations are struggling. And again, the thing that they would probably need the most is money. But you can target your donation. You can say it is money for this or money for that, right? For what they actually need. So I'm gonna wrap up my little talk on outreach here. I've really enjoyed spending this time with you. Thanks to those of you who joined me and commented during this live. It was a lot of fun. I am going to be offering an outreach package to help those of you because I've had quite a few people call me in the last few weeks who would like to start or improve their outreach projects. So, so let me do a little live on it and share a little bit of my knowledge and information and experience from the past 25 years of doing outreach work with people. My personal way of doing outreach, I do creative outreach, and I use a technique called the Camps Carnival Theatre Technique. It is devised by my mentor, Ellen O'Malley Combs, who is a genius, and I've been working with her for the past 20 years, since 2000, and we currently run a program at the maximum security prison for male inmates. It's called the Transformer Performers program, and it's been a real source of inspiration and joy in my life because the guys performed at Carifesta last year. So it was amazing to be a part of that and to see men who are condemned to prison, sharing their stories and through cautionary tales and helping to improve the world that they've damaged. So give me a call, send me a message, let me know what you thought about some of the things I talked about in this live today. How to start and go about doing outreach work, how to figure out what you want to do and who you want to help, how to approach them, and how to make sure that what you're doing is actually helpful. In another live at some point, I can't make any promises, I'm very vague. I will be talking about how to raise funds and how to communicate the value of your outreach program, which is also very, very important. So thanks so much for joining me. Make sure and like and follow my Creative Business TT page. You can also find information on YouTube. If you look up Louis Leasing Creative Business Advisor on YouTube, you should be able to join my YouTube page, and you can follow and subscribe there as well. trying to get up to 100 followers. So I'm starting that campaign today, so that I can get my own YouTube URL. Okay, so join me on my journey as I share some creative business tips, strategies, and sessions with you. And let's make this place wonderful and have a creative revolution. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Make it productive.